Hey, welcome back to the Vikings and another Russian Fishing 4 video. Today we're going to take a first dive in the new map, the Norwegian Sea. Before we get started, if you enjoyed the content, please comment, like and subscribe. It goes a long way to support the channel. Alrighty, let's jump into this. Alright, so here we are at the travel screen for the new map. A few things to take a note of on this screen is that it's a level 34 map. It has travel cost of 98.80 silver, which puts it up there with Yelmer River basically. Now there's a few new things for the new map. Now the main thing is the marine tackle. This is a sea map, so none of the old methods will work per se. You can do bottom tackle, but that's pretty much it. You want to use the marine tackle. New for this one is this one right here. There is a 5 in-game day fishing trip, all inclusive, that you can take. Just take a little look at that one. It's 5 days, meaning 5 hours in real life. It's available for everyone in the game, whether you're level 1 or you're level 40. Makes no difference. Anyone can take it. But it can only be purchased 3 times. So you can only run this 3 times. So it's not something you can farm over and over again. It includes the boat. It includes a rod and a reel with all tackles that you need. It has a good amount of lures available that you can use during the trip. On top of that, any damage, any lost lure, anything of the rented equipment will be replaced if something happens to it. That meaning damage, you break something bites up the lure, so everything is replenished. Now it has a cost to it though. It's 1395 silver or 0.95 gold, but it will allow you to test out everything. You can do it without any risk, and it's a good way to actually farm a little bit of silver if you manage to get on the fish. So in addition to this, there's another thing that's new for this release. Now we have the basic unlimited access that you can buy on every single map, so it's 32.90 gold, which gives you free travel and also access to the map before you hit level 34. In addition to this, we also have 2 other packs, which is kind of like a premium pack. So you got one that's 159.90 gold, which includes a Saltmaster rod, SBH 88, and also a Venga reel. And there's also a even higher package, which is 179.90, which in addition to the rod and reel, you also get 10 5-day boat rental tickets. You get a saltwater bait set, and you get a sea fishing for dummies, which we'll touch on here in a little bit. In addition to that, you also get a figurine that you can put on your mantelpiece in your house, and you get it on the award sections of your profile. So this is a little bit of new for the new map. Other than that, you can just hit enter, travel to the map, and there we go. So when we load in to the map, this is where we land. We land straight in front of the admin building and right next to workshop. Next to that we have actually the tackle store right there. So first thing you want to do on any new map is to walk straight up to the admin. You get the same menu as you get on every single map now. You can enter it, or you can get a free float or a free spinning tackle. Now of course, those two is not going to help you much on this map. Alright, when we jump into admin, this is kind of what we get. You have the option to buy the map itself, which is 100 silver, but it is transferable, so you can send it to other players if you so please. Now, new of this release is that we have the sea fishing for dummies. What this does, if you purchase this at 9,985 silver, it gives you an instant level up when you read it to 30% on the marine fishing. Keep in mind that this is not an additional 30%, but it takes you to 30%. So if you already started the leveling process, it will not take you to an additional 30, but it will actually give you 230, and that's it. So if you already leveled beyond that, this book will not help you. Now, a few people have had issues when they read the book and it actually failed. So if that happens, go ahead and submit a trouble ticket to RF4 and they will help you out with that. It's well worth it though. It will speed up the leveling process, but it doesn't instantly give you access to new tackles from the get-go. So, but it shortens the leveling process to get to other tackles. All right, let's quickly take a look at the skill tree before we keep going here, since we already talked about the skill book. Now, I've already been playing for a while, so my skill level is already way above the 30. So marine fishing, this is a new skill tree, and this is a little bit of what we have to level up and go through. Now, the leveling process slows really badly down at around 60%, so it will take a while. It's the same as with the other fishing methods that we have, but this unlocks all the different rigs, all the different rods. You start off with the Pilker rod, it takes you over to a light boat rod, over to a medium boat rod, and then eventually into 100% and the heavy marine boat rods. We're going to dive more into this later. I just wanted to show it, but from the get-go, you'll get the same whether or not you buy that book, so you don't have to worry too much about it. Now, if you do have available skill points, I would recommend putting some skill points into the Pilker rod right from the get-go. Everyone did get a free reset, so that everyone can reset their skills. I haven't done it yet. I had some available skill points, so I put them into the rod, and I'm just going to wait a little bit and get everything unlocked before I start resetting my skills and respecking them. But we'll touch back on skill points at a later video. Alright, so a quick tour of what we got. Of course, we got the admin building. Right next to it, we have the workshop. We do have the tackle store. We all know these from the other maps. Right behind us, there's a few buildings that we want to pay attention to. We got the boat station with the boat tickets. It's about the same prices that we saw from LA, so it's about 100 per hour. Of course, if you buy 5-day tickets, it is going to be a bit cheaper, so you save pretty much 100 silver per 5 hour, given that you actually spend the tickets, that is. We got the ATM if you want to buy the silver. We have the cafe with cafe orders, and I have to say though that the cafe orders on this map is really good. Actually, there's a lot of money to make here. Further on, we got the fish market where we sell our fish. This boat is the new bait shop where we can buy the different cut of fillets. There is a few new marine baits, which also includes some new gold baits. And we have dead fish, which is kind of the same as live bait that we know from the other maps. But of course, they're called dead baits. Now, all the dead baits are spoiling, and you have to make them on the fly, basically. These things are silver only. You got the muscle meat and the scallop meat. Those you can actually manufacture yourself or craft yourself, but they are gold baits. The same thing goes with all the fillets. We can actually make those, but you can also purchase them for gold. Last thing we have is the hardware store. The drink vending machine. Oh, it's not the last one. We actually got the grocery store on the end. Now, I would recommend checking the prices because a few of these stores are more expensive than the alternatives, like let's say Walkoff. That goes for food. It goes for the hardware. Tackle store, luckily, is 100%, so you can freely do your purchases here. All right, let's take a look at gear and what we have available for the new marine tackles. Now, we're not going to look at everything. We're just going to touch on some of the entry level things that we need. And the first thing is going to be the Pilker rods. Those are the ones that we're going to start using, and it's what we're going to use until we hit 55 to 70% on the marine scale. There's really only three good alternatives, in my opinion. The first one is going to be the Saltmaster Offshore 88. This is a good entry level rod. It is the one that you will be getting if you do the fishing trip. So this is going to be the rental rod as well. It's 38.2 kilo on low capacity, 90 to 320 gram test. So the test is really good. Low capacity might be a little bit on the low side, but it gets the job done. You can run a 36 kilo setup with line leader. which also makes it viable for both the Tagara and the Vengas if you want to use one of those. Price is affordable, it's for 3,498 silver, so a really good starting rod if you want to keep it a little bit budget. Now, if you want to go one step up, there is the Poseidon Sensei. The Poseidon Sensei is a really good rod. It has 5% to the marine fishing skill, so you actually speed up your leveling a little bit when using this rod though. It has a load capacity of 63.7 and the test is 50 to 190. Now, it is a little bit low on the load capacity, not a big deal, but there is a stronger rod that I would recommend. Also, 50 to 190 gram test could be on the low side on some of the setups that we might want to use. In addition to the marine fishing scale, you also got a 50% XP bonus. So really good rod. It's a bit pricey, 9,197 silver. So a good alternative. Now the last rod I want to look at is the Poseidon Jig and Pilker. This is the strongest rod that we have in this category. It's 75.3 kilo load capacity with an 80 to 210 gram test. Both the load capacity and the test is really good. Now you can get better test, but this is the strongest one we got as far as capacity goes. Also, it gives the 50% XP bonus. It doesn't have anything to the fishing skill, so that's kind of the only downside that I see with this rod. But it's by far the strongest one, and it's the one that I recommend. It's pricey though, 9,897 silver for this one, but it's definitely worth it. So when we decided on the rod, we have to figure out what kind of line we're going to use. And there's a few new options. So if we go into braid line, we have these new solid materials, high powered braid. It's the MC version, which is multicolored. And what this gives us is actually an indication on how much line that we have out at any given time with a margin of every 5 meters. And if you want to use the Venga or the Tagara, I would recommend going with a 600 meter spool. If you have a higher level reel, like the Goliath, which is one of the newer ones, I would go with the 1200. That also goes if you're using Triumph or something similar. And depending on what rod you selected, if you go with the offshore model, I would go 36 kilo and 600 meter line. And if you go with any of the other two recommendations, I would go with the 60 kilo lines. The next components that we're going to need is shock leaders. And we can go with the stock versions. And the same thing applies here. Depending on what setup you would choose, I would recommend going with a 36 kilo leader or a 60 kilo leader. So whatever you prefer on those. The last thing we're going to take a look at right now is some of the tackles that are, or the lures that we need. And the first thing you're probably going to get is a good handful of pilkers. Now, there's a few series that is definitely been showing up as the best ones. And what I would recommend grabbing from the get-go, depending on reels and rods again, the test is the biggest decider here. But I would get the Jack's Bond 125s. And also, if you chose one of the last two rods, the higher ones, I would also get a set of the Jack Bonds 180s. Those are the first two that I would choose. But as always, check the weeklies, check what's active, and don't buy too much from the get-go until you know what you really want to get going with. So pick a few of the ones that are most active from the weeklies. I would definitely get the 5s, probably the 6, the 10s, and the 1s for starters at a bare minimum. And do it for both sizes. Do the same thing for 125 and the 180s. And if you want to go a little bit more, I would probably grab one of the Jigmeister DC 110s. That's a good starting point. There's a lot of lures. There's a lot of different components that came in with the updates. A lot of it requires skill points, so we're not going to touch on everything now, but that's the one that I would get from the get-go. All right, when we're done shopping and assembling our rig, we should have something that's pretty much similar to this. Of course, depending on what rod and setup you wanted to go with. We're pretty much bound to the Pelka rig for now. And also using the pilker, all the accessories we won't have access to until we start leveling up and unlocking the features. So we'll touch more of that on a later video. So let's go ahead and try this one for now. We're going to jump in the boat and see if we can actually catch something. So first thing first, we have to run over to the boat station, which is right here. And like we saw before, this is the prices. Make sure you at least get a 1 hour ticket. I do recommend having a few of these so that if you run out during a fish fight, you can actually switch or load up another ticket. Go, let's go ahead and get out of the harbor, and we're gonna set the course over to where we want to go is actually 34 meter over here. Let's touch up on the map while we're driving over there. So we have 4 areas shown with lines going through them. These are sandbanks, of course, with different depths on them. Now the color combinations all shown up here is the different depths. The only thing that's differentiated on this map is indeed the sandbanks, and they are, at least now in the beginning, they were defined as hotspot as well. So it's well worth taking a look at these locations. Other locations that have been working well is the 41 meter, the 70 meter up here, especially now when you don't have too much unlocked. There's a lot of other hotspots showing up, but for right now, it is the 4 sandbanks, the 41, and the 70 meter. Alright, I'm going to get over to the 34 meter, and I'll meet you guys out there. Alright, as you see, the map is fairly big, so it takes a while to get out there. But we're drawing close to where we want to be. I just want to go in the middle of the sandbank for now. So when you're getting close to where you want to stop, just go ahead and hit G to turn off the engine. It's actually the most efficient way to just like slow down the boat and come to a complete standstill. We do have a little bit of waves, but shouldn't be a problem. Alright, so one of the easiest techniques in the beginning is just to cast out. Don't do full cast, just barely cast it out there and let the lure sink to the bottom. And you just keep an eye on the circle down in the corner. And as you will see, this is a new feature right here. This is the rainbow colored lines doing this. It will give you the depth indication with a 5 meter accuracy. And you'll see that it spins around when you're letting out line, and as soon as it hits the bottom, it actually stops spinning around. There we go. You can actually close the reel and reel in a little bit. If you make the lure sit just above the ocean bottom, you will actually see that you have a movement in the bottom layer as a status effect. This is kind of like the same thing as you have while drifting with the current and similar things on other maps. And what you want to do is, for the pilker, you want to do shift right click, let it down, do it again, shift right click, let it down, do it again, shift right click, and you should get a strong pilking or a strong perking or perking action. You're just going to keep doing this, and this is kind of the same thing as you do with jig stepping. Now ideally you want to have both the strong perking and the movement in the bottom layer. So if you lose the movement in the bottom layer, open the bail, let it sink down again, make sure you get down there, close it when you get down, and you keep doing. Now with the swells like this, it might be a little bit difficult to keep both of those statuses going, so you just have to like be careful with it and like adjust. Okay, we got a fish on. See what we get. And I'm using R to validate if I got a fish on or not. All right, here we go. First fish. Viviparous eel pout. So you can either do regular right click. You don't have to do it all the way up either. Like if you do it just small motions, you'll get perking, and if you do the full motion, you'll get the strong perking. Holding right click, it will be even a bit stronger than that, and it goes a bit faster. There's a lot of different techniques you can do with this. You can do perking. You can just let it sit there with the movement in the bottom layer. Just let it sit there and drift along with the current. If you make sure that you're all the way at the bottom, and you do the same motion, if the lure actually touches the bottom, you could also get jig stabbed doing this. There we go, got another fish. And we got a cusk. Not a big one, but still. Okay, so that's basically what you need to get started with this. Of course, there's a lot more to this map. There's a lot more to this update, but that's for a later video. I want to bring your attention to our Discord, the Vikings Discord. I'll put the invite link in the description below. There's a lot of more information in there, both for this map and all the other maps in the game. There's trophy sections, there is spot information, a lot of good stuff, so make sure you check that one out as well, along with the RF4 official Discord. I would recommend being a member of both of those too. Alright, I want to thank you again for watching, and hope to see you in the next one. Until then, tight lines.